I am mortified. My boyfriend of 3 years and I are living at his mom's house for a few months before she goes on a month-long trip. Long story. When she goes on this 6-month trip, we are taking over the house and watching her dog for that time. For now, we are not paying rent, but we will be once she's gone. She doesn't want to move any of the furniture or decor out of the house when we're paying rent here. And although I find that a bit annoying because we're paying rent and helping her out by watching the house and her dog, she'd never be able to find someone to take over her house for only 6 months, unless maybe she wanted to move everything she owns out of here. But it's a 3,000 square foot home, packed with 30 years of things. She'd have to hire people to help her move all of this into a storage unit, etc. And obviously no one is going to watch the dog. So, we're doing her a favor as well. I've always had an amazing relationship with her. For background, like truly amazing. Last night I heard my boyfriend and her arguing about something, but I didn't want to be rude and listen in, of course. But I did overhear something about paying rent when she leaves, so I knew it had to do with us. This morning I asked my boyfriend if I should know what happened with that conversation possibly, and he let me know that his mom said, "I've seen you, boyfriend, clean, but I've never seen her lift a finger around here," and that she is worried about me living here when she's gone and taking care of the house. I am not only mortified, but shocked and confused beyond belief. I am someone who can take feedback and look inward. I am not above that, but I truly feel this is shocking and unwarranted. When he told me she said that, I started to cry and walked away and said, I need to go stay with my parents for a little because I am totally uncomfortable now living here. My parents live 3 hours away, so I could go for a week or so. He was rude about it and said, "Why don't you just clean better instead of reacting like this?" This infuriates me because even if I were a slob, how could he not understand that I am completely uncomfortable? He marched off and went to work after this. I wish he would have defended me to his mom, but that didn't happen. The least he could do would be to understand that this was hurtful and difficult for me to hear, because I am feeling trapped now at his mother's house, which is already a slightly awkward situation. I truly just want to get out of here, move out, and not be here for the 6 months that we're watching the house. But that isn't an option anymore. We are committed, and we would royally screw her financially, and she probably wouldn't be able to go on the trip because of the dog too if we bailed now, and my boyfriend wants to stay anyway. So moving out is not an option. How do I handle this? I feel so uncomfortable being here. I want nothing to do with either of them right now, honestly. I don't want to confront her about this out of pure discomfort. Plus, she told someone else about this, not me. She obviously didn't want to tell me to my face. I can't stand living here now, and I'm so depressed that my boyfriend reacted this way too. For what it's worth, I know I am not a slob. I absolutely know it. If I were, I would just take this feedback inward and not come to strangers asking for advice. And regardless of that, even if I were a bit messy, this is incredibly uncomfortable. I wish my boyfriend understood how bad this is for me to know she's been thinking this about me. I don't want to keep any food here anymore, don't want to use the kitchen, anything. I hate this. To add, someone pointed out I should add this comment here as well. I did all the Zaza whacking last weekend, vacuumed the living room 2 days ago, and deep cleaned the tiles in the kitchen last week. I don't know why she would say that. Maybe she thinks all the cleaning being done is from him, not me, because I work from home and do it when she's not here to watch. Almost forgot. I should also add that she needs the rent money from us to go on this trip to rent out her daughter's home so she can live where she's going for months, trying not to give too many personal details. That is why she's charging us. If we didn't pay this, she couldn't go see her daughter for 6 months. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't understand anything about this situation. You are uncomfortable living there. And your boyfriend not only doesn't care that you're uncomfortable, he's blaming you for the whole thing. Just go. You don't have to stay there while she's away. You owe her nothing. You owe him nothing. And if you supposedly do nothing around the house, how does it impact anyone if you refuse to keep living there? Go. Tell your boyfriend that since both he and his mother disparaged you, you can't keep living there while maintaining your sense of self-respect. He can take care of the house and dog and pay rent for the privilege, but you won't be joining him. Period. Then go. Comment 2. Leave. You hate staying there, so leave. Why are you staying? Your boyfriend doesn't think you doing all that housework is enough and wasn't willing to stand up for you. So it means he thinks you're a slob too. You'd be foolish to stay in a place and in a relationship where you aren't appreciated. You'll spend the rest of your life being made to feel like this. In healthy relationships, your partner stands up for you and won't let others put you down. That includes their own parents. If your parents talked negatively about your boyfriend, would you stand up for him? Now, for the update. After spending time with my parents, I'm back at my boyfriend's mom's house. Things are still awkward after hearing the argument between my boyfriend and his mom. He's been acting distant, and I can feel there's a lot left unsaid between us. His mom cleaned the common areas since I've been gone, and it just makes me feel more unwelcome. Like, I get it, you don't want me here, but I'm going to be here for a while, so deal with it. My boyfriend suggested we cook dinner together to lighten the mood. I was hesitant, but I figured it was worth a shot. We decided to make dinner for his mom as a nice gesture since she's going on a trip soon. Cooking was going okay, but I couldn't shake the feeling that his mom was watching me the entire time. Like, can I not chop onions in peace? My boyfriend casually mentioned that his mom had been feeling overwhelmed lately. I mean, duh. I get that you're not a mind reader, but come on. During dinner prep, she suddenly brought up how important it is to help each other out. My boyfriend didn't say anything, just stared at his phone like it was the most interesting thing in the world. After dinner, his mom invited us to a family barbecue at her friend's house. I really didn't want to go, but I thought it might help ease the tension a bit. At the barbecue, I noticed how my boyfriend was with everyone else, super chill and happy. But with me, not so much. His mom introduced me to everyone as the girl living in my house. Like, thanks for making me feel like a stray dog. The conversations turned to shared responsibilities in relationships, and I felt my stomach drop. A family friend asked me what I do for work, and I kind of fumbled through my answer. My boyfriend just looked away, avoiding eye contact like he was trying to disappear. Then his mom chimed in, saying her son needed someone who could contribute more. I couldn't believe it. Like I'm living here rent-free and still doing stuff around the house. My boyfriend finally spoke up, telling her she was being too harsh. The atmosphere shifted, and I could feel everyone looking at them. His mom insisted she was just looking out for her son, and they started arguing. I tried to tune it out, but it was impossible. I went outside for some fresh air and overheard his mom asking him if he was sure about his relationship. My heart sank when I heard him say he loved me and wanted to figure things out. The next day, he suggested we talk about our future and living arrangements. We found a quiet corner of the house to sit down, and he brought up the idea of moving out. We discussed budgets, and I could see he was really motivated to make it work. He proposed we look at apartments that weekend. I was so relieved to hear him say that. We also agreed to set some boundaries with his mom regarding our living situation. He arranged to meet his mom later to discuss our plan. I decided to prepare a small celebratory dinner to mark our new beginning. At dinner that night, he shared our plans with her. She was not happy, to say the least. She voiced her concerns about us moving out, and I could see him getting frustrated. He reaffirmed his support for me and our plans, and I was so proud of him for standing his ground. We ended the evening talking about what our future apartment might look like. I'm really looking forward to this new chapter, and hopefully it'll be better than living under his mom's roof. To answer a few questions, my boyfriend's mom knew we were living there temporarily. The plan was to help her out while she traveled and then start paying rent when she returned. Am I the idiot for leaving my cheating fiancé after he ditched me and our kids for a cruise? I'm going to try to make a long story short. I asked him for 3 things while he was gone. A couple of minutes call in the morning, a couple of minutes call at night before I go to bed, and some pictures on the beach. I voiced to him my anxieties before he left, which were about me being alone with our two kids, 2 years old and 2 months old, for 5 days, having never been alone that long since our second was born. And we've also had a lot of problems in the past, with him lying to me about his corn addiction and other issues, so I voiced those anxieties too. He acted like he completely understood. His plane lands, no call. An hour later, no call. So I have to call him, and he freaks out on me like I'm crazy for being worried about if he's okay when he was just on a plane. Anyway, he's on the cruise and couldn't do any of the 3 simple things I asked for that would have made me feel much better being alone. He couldn't do a single one. I call him after a whole day of not even trying to reach out and letting him have his fun. He picks up all annoyed, telling me how he needs to get back to his guys, and it continued where he was rude. He never sent pictures and never wanted to be on the phone with me, whether I answered or not. He gets home, it's all dandy, we go out with friends and whatever. We get back home, and for some reason, I get a random gut feeling to check his deleted texts. I wasn't even thinking about anything related to that. So I do, and there are deleted texts with a woman. The first text is her saying his name, and he's calling her baby, gives her his room number, sent her some beach and bar pictures, texting her at 2 a.m. I'm like, what the heck? I freak out. I ask him about it, and he says it was a dude he was with using his phone because his phone was a crappy Android. I don't believe it. I call the friend. He said it was because he left his phone in his room and didn't want to lose it. Interesting, because he's the one that took all the pictures he sent to their little group chat. I go through the pictures, and there's a picture of my fiance's belongings with a condom on top of them. Only his stuff. And who took the picture? The friend. On top of it all, while he was there at 3 a.m. after he told me he was going to sleep, he sent the woman $50. It was her birthday, by the way. So I asked him. He said he owed the friend money for food, so the friend wanted it sent to the woman. But when I had asked him why he sent some random woman money while he was gone, he said it was the friend's girlfriend, which it wasn't, and I keep asking him why she said your name then. He said it was because she knew his friend was borrowing his phone. That still doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. Why hide and delete the texts? And why do the texts sent from your phone sound exactly like you, not your friend? He claims the friend was telling him what to text the woman. It was a Latina woman. The last person he was with before me was a Latina woman. And after I gave birth to our oldest child 2 years ago, he was checking out the Latina ex's social media. Every time I bring the topic up, he's super sweet about it, but he's lied to my face before, both nicely and angrily, so I can't go off that. Did he cheat on me, or should I believe him that it was the friend? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You know the answer. He leaves you at home with 2 babies and can't even call you, but he can text and send pictures and money to some random woman. Even if all those made-up stories he tells you are true, you definitely are not a priority in his life. Comment 2. He left you alone with 2 babies and couldn't call, but he's doing a great job remembering some stranger's birthday. It doesn't matter if he cheated. You and your children are not his priority. Now for the update. After I found those texts on my fiance's phone, my life turned upside down. It's been a couple of weeks since that awful discovery, and honestly, I still can't wrap my head around it. I thought I knew the guy I was about to marry, but this, total betrayal. I was a mess, trying to keep it together for my kids while I processed everything. I needed to know what the hell was going on, and so I decided to confront my fiancé again. He had brushed me off saying his friend was using his phone, but I wasn't buying that excuse anymore. Like, come on. So one night after dinner, once the kids were asleep, I told him we needed to talk. I could see he was tired and just wanted to chill, but I insisted. This was urgent, and he knew it. He kept saying he was too exhausted and that we could talk about it later. No, we couldn't. Not with this hanging over our heads. I pushed him to have the conversation right then and there. He sighed and followed me to the living room, looking like I just asked him to run a marathon. I sat down, and right away, I brought up the money he sent that woman. I was done with his vague answers. I wanted details. He tried to change the subject, saying it was just a misunderstanding. I could feel my blood boiling. I was not letting this go. So I left the room to gather my thoughts. I didn't want to escalate things, especially with the kids in bed. The next day, I went to my sister's birthday party, just trying to distract myself. I really didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. At the party, I did my best to smile and laugh, but it was hard. I watched my sister, so happy and surrounded by family, and I just felt this pit in my stomach. Then during the cake cutting, my brother-in-law made this joke about how he would never cheat. Everyone laughed, but I felt like I was going to cry. I helped my sister clean up after the party, and while we were at the sink, I overheard my mom and aunt talking about a wedding. They started discussing how trust is essential in a relationship, and I just wanted to scream. Like, is this a sign or something? I got home later that night and felt the urge to dig deeper into this mess. I saw my fiance's phone just sitting there, unattended. I knew I shouldn't, but I checked it again. I found a new message from that woman saying they should meet up soon. I was furious. I took a screenshot and saved it. I needed to keep evidence of this crap. The next day, I planned a family outing to distract myself and the kids, but honestly, it didn't help much. I kept watching my fiancé, and he was texting like crazy. My gut was screaming at me. Later that evening, when the kids were in bed, I brought up the messages again. He acted all nonchalant, saying he was just being friendly. Overreacting? Really? I called him out on the meetup suggestion, and he got defensive. He accused me of invading his privacy. Like, dude, you lost that right when you started cheating. I was at my breaking point. I decided to reach out to a mutual friend to see if she'd heard anything about him. She was hesitant to spill the tea, but eventually she admitted she's seen him out with different women. That confirmation just made me more determined to take a stand for myself. I started packing my things. I was done with the lies. My fiancé came home and was shocked to see me packing. He demanded to know what was going on, but I wasn't giving him the satisfaction of an explanation. I told him I couldn't trust him, and I was done with the lies. He tried to convince me to stay, but I just couldn't listen to him anymore. Then the kids walked in, looking confused by the tension. I decided to have a calm conversation with them. I explained that we would be staying with my family for a while. They seemed a little apprehensive, but I reassured them it was just temporary. My fiancé pleaded with me to reconsider, but I was resolute. I took the kids and left. The following week, I got a message from him asking to talk. I declined. I just focused on my kids and rebuilding my life. Thank you for reading. Mini update. My fiancé and I spoke a few weeks later. I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop to discuss co-parenting. He apologized for his actions and admitted he had been unfaithful. He asked for a chance to fix things, but I told him I needed time to think. Am I the idiot Tates for telling my husband's best friend about his affair with his fiancé? So my husband works the night shift and usually sleeps during the day while I'm up with our 4 daughters. Anyway, we were planning on traveling to see my family who live 2 states away and be there for about 4 days. I drive up there while he sleeps in the car. That first night up there, he was acting weird, so while the kids were asleep, we decided to hang out on the front porch. While we were out there, he just came out and said that he slept with someone else and wanted a divorce. I asked him who it was and when it happened. He said that it was his best friend's fiancée, and he slept with her the night before. He said they had just started talking a week before, and that he was in love with her and was leaving our family to go be with her. Let's just say I was devastated and couldn't understand how he could just walk away from our 4 kids and 8 years of marriage for a girl he was apparently in love with for only a week. Anyway, he did this while we were up visiting my family and was texting her the whole time. While we were up there, I kept trying to make him see reason, but he wasn't. I asked if his best friend knew that they slept together, and he said no. So I told him that they needed to let the best friend know before we got back, or I was going to. It isn't fair to him or me that they wanted to be selfish and hurtful. So we come back home, and neither of them has told him, so I tell them they have an hour and my husband should find somewhere else to go. She ends up not telling the best friend, and neither does my husband. So I have a long conversation with the best friend and find out he already suspected they had something going on. When the best friend confronted the girl, she said that she didn't love my husband and didn't want to leave the best friend. So now that my husband saw that she was lying the whole time and didn't mean it, he came to me that night saying he had nowhere to go and saw reason, and that I was the love of his life. He said he made a huge mistake and didn't want a divorce anymore. Now I just feel like the second choice. I think if we were just dating or didn't have kids, the choice would be a lot easier, but that's not the case. He still lives here with me and the kids. He tells me all these nice things and that I'm the only one he wants, and he doesn't even want to be with her, and it was the worst decision he's ever made. All I think about anymore is what if it's all a lie, and I don't want to get hurt and fooled again. But I have 4 daughters, all under the age of 8, and currently don't have a job. I seem to always be thinking about all the what-ifs all day long. I don't know what to do or even think anymore. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's lying to you because she doesn't want him. He went on a trip with you and told you he slept with her 24 hours prior. He was in love and leaving you. If she was still interested, he would have left you and your children high and dry. There's no true remorse. She'll snap her fingers and he'll dump you again or leave you when the next one comes along. Bluntly, he's with you because he has nowhere to go and thinks he can worm his way back in. Send him packing for your own self-respect. He didn't think of you and his kids after a week of sleeping with someone else. You show your girls that you don't ever let someone treat you with that level of disrespect. Leave him, honestly. There's no return from that. Comment 2. You are his second choice. They were only talking for a week and slept together once, but that was enough for him to decide to throw away his family. 8 years, 4 beautiful daughters, and the home you'd built together. Your soon-to-be ex-husband managed to screw over his wife and best friend at the same time. He's not to be trusted at all. Seriously, he only came back when she made it clear that she wasn't actually interested in a future with him. He told you he had nowhere else to go, but honestly, that's a him problem. I hope that the best friend ends it with his fiancée too. Kick him out again, file for divorce, child support, and full custody. Now for the update. I'm back with an update. Can't believe it's been months since I last posted. Time flies, I guess. My husband and I are still living together, but it's just for the kids. It's been a mess of awkward dinners and emotional stress. Every night we sit down for dinner and the tension is so thick. The kids, bless their hearts, have no idea what's going on. They're just happy to have some food on the table, but they can sense something's off. My husband has been trying to bond with them, like taking them out for ice cream after school. It's cute, but it feels like a performance sometimes. You know, like he's auditioning for Dad of the Year or something. Lately, he's been super focused on appearances. He keeps saying we need to present a united front to friends and family. Like, what are we, soldiers? During a recent family gathering for my mom's birthday, he made some joke about our rough patch in front of relatives. I wanted to crawl under the table. I felt so exposed. Afterward, he pulled me aside, insisting he was just trying to lighten the mood. I don't think making jokes about our marriage in front of family is lightening anything. I feel like he's just trying to ignore everything. One evening, while looking for a family photo on his phone, I stumbled upon a series of messages from a mutual friend. At first, I thought she was just being a good friend and supporting him, but then I realized the tone was flirtatious. I got really worried. I confronted him about it, and we had a heated argument in the kitchen while the kids were playing in the living room. He said the messages were harmless and refused to delete them, saying they're just friends. Just friends? Yeah, right. I decided to reach out to the mutual friend for some clarity. She was caught off guard and claimed she had no idea about our situation. She insisted the messages were taken out of context. This conversation caused a huge rift between us, and I never expected that. I thought I was reaching out to a friend for clarity, not creating a new enemy. At a recent school event for one of our daughters, my husband was distant. He stood with a group of parents, chatting and laughing, while I felt completely isolated. I overheard snippets of their conversation directed at him, and it made me feel even worse. It was like I was invisible. Last weekend, we took the kids to a local amusement park, and let me tell you, the atmosphere was forced. The kids had a blast, but the two of us were just exchanging tense glances. He insisted on taking pictures for social media, but I refused. I told him I didn't want to pretend everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. He snapped at me, and the kids looked confused and upset. It's not their fault, but I hate that they're caught in the middle of this. My mom called me recently, asking why I haven't visited more often. I tried explaining my situation, but she brushed it off, saying I should make more of an effort for the kids' sake. It was frustrating to hear that from her. All I want is some understanding and support. On a brighter note, I attended a workshop for parents and met a few others experiencing similar struggles. It was nice to know I wasn't alone in this, and it gave me a sense of camaraderie. On the other hand, date nights have been a disaster. My husband spends most of the evening on his phone, texting that mutual friend. The last time we went out, I confronted him again, which led to a massive blowout that woke the kids. They saw us arguing, and our youngest threw a tantrum. It was chaos. After that, my husband suggested we take a break and stay with his parents for a few days. He thought it might help. I reluctantly agreed, but it didn't make things any better. At his parents' house, he seemed more relaxed, but he kept texting that mutual friend. I started feeling isolated from my own family. When we returned home, I found out he had been keeping a journal about his feelings and thoughts. I confronted him about it, and it led to another emotional confrontation. We were both drained afterward. The breaking point came when he announced he wanted to move out for a while. He insisted it was for the best, so he moved into a small apartment nearby. He still visits the kids, but the dynamic has changed completely. The latest shocker came when he told me he started dating that mutual friend. I felt a mix of anger and relief. It's complicated, but I think I'm done with the drama. Edit. The mutual friend had been pursuing my husband for months, which he initially resisted. His decision to date her stemmed from feeling unwanted in our marriage, as I often prioritized the kids. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.